commissioners that are regulating this sport, because we want good regulation. We want good leadership. We want good engagement. We want to know our representatives. It's really frustrating to be from Michigan, and honestly, like, I don't really like booking my people here because there are some holes in the system that are just remedied in other places where the convenience of communication is so much better, the engagement of the commission in certain factors is better, and I'm like, it's got to be better in my home state. This is like, I want my people to can be here more than anywhere else. I want big events to want to come to Michigan more than anywhere else. So I enjoyed the meeting a lot today, and I didn't know if I would or not, but I'm going to kind of touch on three things. I'm going to start with the bad, in my opinion, then I'm going to go with the good, and then I'm going to go with new. Let's just get the bad out of the way first. One of the things that I saw addressed today was a first-time offense for marijuana, which federally is illegal, and I support sanctions 100%. And if any of my people fail, I'm happy that there is regulation and process to keep them in order. But with that being said, a first-time offense of marijuana is walking away with a $3,300 fine, and a offense for cocaine and marijuana, who also did not show, is walking away with a substantially reduced fine, $500 less. So a gentleman that tested positive for cocaine is being fined less for 2 banned substances. And regardless of whether they fit under the same schedule federally, I don't believe it is right, or that we could support in any way being able to justify that we find a gentleman for the first time offense of marijuana more than we find someone that was tested for cocaine and marijuana. And I think that is going to reflect very poorly on the commission, especially as marijuana is recreationally available and some people choose to use it. And 100%, if you're going to compete in the sport, I support the fact that until it is a federal law that they are allowed to have THC in our system, that we should find them. There should be regulation. We should try to clean this thing up as much as possible. But I do think that the commissioner should evaluate their stance on the fact that a person that was tested positive for cocaine and marijuana is fined less than someone with a first-time offense for marijuana. I think that was kind of the only real shocking thing that I witnessed today. And I don't know the gentlemen that are involved in the case, but I'm trying to think of, as someone that, this is my life's passion and work, I think that's unfair and unjust. The only other thing I thought that was very bad about today is the point you brought up. You can simply pay a fee to become a judge in a sport where you control the livelihood of the people that are going to compete. These professional fighters, especially once they turn professional, they're going all in on this. And for a lot of these people, it's all they have. They're not highly educated. Some of them are, but some of these people are trying to turn their lives around through something that they're passionate about and that they're going all in on. And your opinion on that bout can drastically alter the course of their future. Being undefeated as a professional fighter is the most marketable thing in the world. It's what fans get behind, whether you want to see them win or whether you want to see them lose. It is the most marketable thing. And I've personally, and actually Mrs. Commissioner Morrell is aware of a case that I had to bring before for people. This was probably about 6 years ago, where judges clearly had either a personal issue or something with one of my athletes. And because we had a 30-27 hands down, we thought we won, and 2 judges voted the other way, and then 29-28 and a victory for the opponent. And it was a clear, like, anyone that had ever reviewed this, it was blatantly obvious that there was something going on. And when we have no standards for judges, why in the world would I feel confident as a coach to put the future of my athletes on the line in our state? Where anyone, that opens the door for the easiest corruption ever. Anybody can simply go out, get a license, and judge event. Guess what? If I'm a corrupt person, I'm a manager, I'm gonna have 2 of my friends go out and be judges for Michigan. If we control 2 of the judges, we're gonna be able to drastically alter the results of these fights. And it's happened. And I'm not gonna put any of people, their name on the bus. I'm not here to spew hate or be angry, but it's one of the main reasons I don't book my fighters in Michigan, is because I'm like, man, we don't have an actual process that certifies these people. The people that are experts on this board that have competed in martial arts and boxing and stuff, in my opinion, you should be sitting down together and say, what are the basic level requirements or the training requirements that we are going to enforce to make sure that when we certify a judge, we can stand behind that judge. We believe in them. Because if you want to tie in our community, the coaches and the fighters and the athletes and all the people that for the reason for this board to exist, and we are subservient to the laws that you guys put into effect, You can't tie that in together if we aren't in harmony. And that's a massive discrepancy, and I don't think anyone would dispute that. You know what I mean? It's almost laughable. Imagine if I didn't know the first thing about water polo, and I'm gonna go judge the event. I don't know anything. I have no idea what I'm looking at. It's foreign to me. So I would ask that, you know, as the only other bad thing from today's meeting, I would ask that you severely consider regulations and requirements to become officials. You guys have such an important job. I'm sure most of you realize that, but like, that's why I'm here today. I canceled 2 lessons. He told me last minute. He said, hey, there's this meeting today. I said, I have to go. And I'm actually upset at myself that I wasn't here before, because I believe this input should have been here. So let's go to the good. I loved hearing what you were talking about, like a true leader. I can tell why you're the head of this board, about the vision of uniting the officials and the fighters. And I'm sure I speak for countless trainers across the state of Michigan, that, because I wouldn't want it to be biased to my academy in any way, but we would love to put on training events. We would I guarantee you I could get most of the head coaches from the respectable gyms into a singular location for a free training thing for our commissioners. We would love that. And we would love to develop a relationship and with professional boundaries where there's open lines of communication about, like, hey, we are working towards this legislation, we're working towards this regulation, you know, these are the things that we believe the sport means. This type of harmony will make Michigan a, you know, spot that's very desirable for people to compete. Because you alluded to the fact that why don't some of the mega events want to come here? Well, a lot of it is barrier to entry, but a lot of it is lack of regulation or process. Why would I want to bring my mega event to a place that you can simply fill out a piece of paper and pay a fee and be a judge? I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to expose myself to the liabilities that opens up, right? So I think it's an extremely important topic to cover, but I love the vision that you had. This commission should be well known. I should know the commissioners on the board as one of the people leading the largest, you know, I believe we have the largest active professional and amateur roster in the state. So the fact that I'm just meeting you today, I'm mad at myself. I'll take responsibility. I should have been here before, okay? But I love the vision that you have. And the new part of the conversation I wanted to have was actually addressed by Linda. She said, how does a new event come here? Well, they're supposed to come through public comment. That's actually why I'm here today. So for the people that are unfamiliar or unaware, this is John Chalbeck. He's a professional boxer, I believe 10-0 as a professional boxer. He's also a mixed martial artist. He's competed his entire life. I mean, I've met him, I think, 20 years ago now, and he was a competitor then, and he's a competitor now, and he's a member of my academy. He's a coach at our school. He has been competing for bare knuckle fighting championships in Florida, which has gotten investors such as Shaquille O'Neal and other people backing this. They are really making waves. They're getting their online pay-per-view viewership skyrocketing. It's a whole new avenue that I believe is another thing that the commissions could consider. For a while, mixed martial arts was outlawed, right? They didn't want it. Boxing commission shut it down, and whether it was for competition or a lack of understanding or fear, what is this barbaric, they're gonna be thrown in a cage and they're gonna fight together? Like, what is this? I wanna address those same fears quickly today. So I think bare knuckle fighting championship instantly evokes emotion, and it will evoke trepidation in people that don't understand. Because you're gonna think, bare knuckle, they're not gonna have gloves on, like how can we sanction this? If I'm a mixed martial artist and I knee you in the face, perfectly legal. I don't have a glove on my knee. If I kick you in the face with my shin, that's bone to face. If I elbow you, perfectly legal. There's no glove there. Our minds create this extra fear for bare knuckle fighting championships. You think like, oh, this is gonna be a substantially more brutal sport. It's just factually inaccurate. On impact alone, if I'm able to wrap a fighter's wrists and hands and tape them down like crazy, which there's an art in that itself, and then I can glove the opponent's hand up in a big boxing glove or even in a med glove, you can hit substantially harder because you have less fear of shattering your hand. You don't have to be as calculated. And you see it in some of the fighters that dip and throw overhands like from the next state over, because you've strengthened the tool. You've made it more dangerous. So when I stand here on the topic of for bare knuckle, 1 minute. Here on the topic of bare knuckle fighting championships, it's I want to get rid of the fear. So then we have to address, well, what is more likely to happen in these? Well, cuts. Cuts do happen, unfortunately, due to bare knuckles. But they've made sure that they have 2 physicians ringside. They have 2 doctors on hand. They make sure that it is a primary focus of the sport itself to be able to address the cut aspect. But the physical damage is not any different. Our mind may associate bare knuckle into being more dangerous, but when you break it down to, like I said, versus basic mixed martial arts, I don't think it's much different at all. And it opens a whole nother avenue for a mega league, and it shows that the Michigan Commission is forward thinking. They want to bring in all of the elite sports together with the athletes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.